with breaking news.
Good morning. This morning, welcome to This Morning on TVC News. I'm Ibrahim Sheta, standing in for Yori Folari. Yesterday, we talked about the issue, the Rivers crisis, and all of the issues that are brewing or emanating from Rivers State, as well as some other issues in Nigeria. But most importantly, we'll also be looking at the Rivers State crisis, where APC demands state of emergency. It's worthy of note that Rivers State Governor Siminalyi Fubara has said that 23 local government councils in the state will operate from alternative secretariats following Tuesday's sealing of the councils by the police. The governor also said this after swearing in the 23 local government caretaker committee chairmen on Wednesday in Port Harcourt, the state capital, and saying that they could operate from anywhere. Mr. Fubara stated this as the police barred the newly inaugurated caretaker chairmen from accessing their offices in all the 23 local government headquarters. The secretariats were barricaded with police patrol vans manned by armed personnel. Let's bring you up to speed with some of the latest reports.
The main opposition party in Rivers State, the APC, says it is their duty to raise the alarm when the interest of the state is threatened by the government in power. For them, it is time for the federal government to step in after the violence that trailed the expiration of a 3-year tenure of council chairmen. 2 persons, including a police officer, were killed, and the APC says more lives and property are at risk. The party urged Governor Fubara to allow local government elections hold.
We are in trouble in the state. We are in a state of war. And because the governor does not listen to council, even the council of Mr. President, APC River State that I represent today is demanding for a state of emergency in River State. It is the way out so that you and I will live in peace. And I have said so because it will be too late to cry when the head is off. The reasons for war, full-blown, the indices of war, full-blown, are palpable, they are clear. So the federal government should do what they should do to ensure that this anarchical situation in River State does not degenerate to a situation where we will be seeing fire everywhere.
It describes the installation of caretaker committees to run the affairs of the local government areas as an affront on the judiciary.
What is the difficulty in conducting an election, crying out loud? Please, have you seen any state that conducted election and the opposition party clenched all? It's not true. They will still find a way to maneuver to win. Conduct the election. Let us know that that part of the law has been respected. Then he wants his own 7 persons to man each local government areas. That's what he has gone ahead to do. And I'm sure the Court of Appeal judges are listening. It's an affront to the Supreme Court, because the matter is before them.
As events unfold, the police have cordoned off the local government secretariats to keep protesters a safe distance away. It is unclear if they would allow the caretaker committees to gain access when they report for duty.
So definitely this will serve as a background to our conversation on the program this morning. We would also like that those of our viewers who are watching who would like to contribute, the phone lines are open for you to join the conversation. I have joining me in the studio a lawyer, public affairs analyst, Fred Nziako. It's good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
The rain almost...
almost mad my visiting you, but I'm glad I'm here. Good to be with you.
Right. We also have joining via Zoom the other person who will be talking about is also public affairs analyst, Alester Wilcox. It's good to see you, Alester.
To have Fred in the studio with you. It's my pleasure to be here. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, definitely. So let me start off with you, Alester. It's quite interesting to see things that have been happening in River State, and the APC seems to be very active, in this whole hulabaloo coming up from River State. Now they are calling for state of emergency. What do you think about this? Do you think that's still fashionable?
with due respect, I think the Tony Kocha will have in his own house and his street, not in River State. And I'm saying this with great respect to the person and who represented in River State. But he's calling for the emergency where he and his cohorts are the one instigating war in River State. So Tony Kocha will have state of emergency in his house and maybe around his surrounding, not in River State. I do not see any war or any issue. What I say in River State, regardless of rascality, and it is obviously clear that Tony Kocha and his co-travelers are the ones instigating this rascality in River State. And as far as I'm concerned, that is a very unfortunate call, a very premeditated call, a call that does not enjoy support the market, and he will not even support the attention of the president or National Assembly. We have a city government of River State. We have a government that is supposed to carry out the functions of the office of government of River State. And part of the responsibility is to maintain law and order. And law and order has not broken down apart from the one that Tony Kocha and his cohort are instigating. And the government has tried to
Alistair, if you're following closely, Alistair, if you can hear me. Sorry to butt in. If you follow closely, we saw some of the youth who took to the streets. Some of them manned before the police took over. They manned the local government offices and all of that. And we even saw that 2 people were killed. And then to forestall that breakdown of law and order, that's the reason why police personnel took over, most of the affairs of the local government. So are you saying that those people you saw on the street, some of them who are saying they are acting in accordance to the commandments or the directive of the state governor, why would you want to lay the blames at the doorstep of the APC?
No, nobody. No, I saw the crowd. I saw the teeming crowd of Rivers sons and members in their own words to defend and protect their heritage. Now, none of them, I've never seen any of them through your interview, anybody that says the governor sent him or her. Rather, the governor has always told the supporters to maintain decorum and calm. Now, what happened is a reaction to what been brewing by Tony Kocha and his cohort have been thinking of doing, because we have a situation whereby the tenure of a local government, elected local government, have elapsed. That is the situation. And the men were spitting fire and brimstone to the fact that they are not going to leave because there is a law which a River State High Court has nullified. That's a purported law which extended their tenure and which a River State High Court has nullified. Well, is it subject of appeal? That is, I'm not aware that judgment is a subject of appeal. But they said they are not coming. They are not going to respect their tenure as a people took it upon themselves, which for me is wrong for anybody to want to go and attack government property or take law into their hands. Yeah. God has clearly said it. Do not hurt anybody. So it is now those who are trying to perpetrate violence, who are trying to perpetrate illegality or rascality in the state, that should be talked to. They are the ones that are creating this hullabaloo, not the peaceful people of River State, because there's always a reaction tone with every action has a reaction. If those men that have not been boasting that they're going to access the office, they're going to remain in office, nobody in River State will come. People are too busy. I'm sure they are busy having some good pastime to having some, than to come and start going to the secretary to come and block the secretary. So, well, there is no need for state of emergency. All right. The council met, and I'm sure they have some final decisions. Today, the secretariat are under the protection of the police, and so there is no cause for anybody to be close to the state of emergency. That's
right. Alistair, hang on. Let me bring the conversation to the studio. We're having a bit of difficulty to hear you because of the internet, the connectivity. It seems there is a bit of a hitch there. So we hope that will be fixed, before we come to you. But let me bring into the studio with lawyer, public affairs analyst Fred Nziako. You heard what Alesta actually said, somewhat, blaming the APC for some of the crises that we're witnessing in River State. But if you look at the governor of River State himself, Siminalyi Fubara, he swore in 23 caretaker chairmen into office yesterday and told them you can operate anywhere because the offices are being manned by, the security personnel. Do you think that, what exactly do you consider the legality of this action?
Not legality, but illegality. There are illegalities on both sides. And I will explain to you why there are illegalities on both sides. But let me first start by saying, reacting to the call by Mr. Tony Okocha for state of emergency, it reminds me of what happened in the era, during the reign of King Solomon. Two women were tussling for motherhood or ownership of a baby. Two women. One said, when the matter was brought before the king, one said, the king now told them, well, since two of you are tussling for this baby, I will slice the baby into two, half to you and half to you. The one who was the real mother of the baby cried and said, no, please, my king, don't kill of course, don't cut the baby because that meant killing the baby. Allow the baby to grow. When the baby grows, he will know his mother. The other one who never owned the baby, I say, yes, this is a wise king. Cut the baby into two. That simply tells you who the mother was. And the king now gave the baby to the real mother. For Tony Okocha to be calling for state of emergency in his state speaks volume of what his intention for the state is. He's the one, I want to agree very completely with Alesta, that Tony and his people in APC are the one creating all the crises in River State. And it is now the same people creating crisis are now crying, oh, come and declare state of emergency. Come and declare state of emergency. Tony can be likened to that woman who told King Solomon to slice the baby into two. Now, why I said that there is illegality on both sides? Supreme Court has said that you cannot extend the tenure of a local government chairman or a governor or a president beyond the statutory provision of the law. It's very simple. At the presidential level, we had a former president that tried it and he failed. At the state level, nobody has ever tried it to succeed. At local government level, there are copious pronouncements and judgments of Supreme Court. The classicals was that of Abia State against Attorney General of the Federation. Attorney General of Abia against Attorney General of the Federation in 2013, and Supreme Court said emphatically that you don't have, no governor in Nigeria has authority to elongate the tenure of a local government chairman. There was also the case in Ekiti State in 2017, and the Supreme Court said the same thing. There was also the case in Plateau State against Gang in 2019. Supreme Court said the same thing. So there are a plethora of judgments by the Supreme Court that says no governor has the right, no House of Assembly has the right to elongate the tenure of a local government chairman. On the other side, so any attempt to elongate the tenure is contrary to the provisions of the Constitution and contrary to multiple pronouncements of the Supreme Court. And that is why it was very easy for the court to throw away that law number 2 of House of Assembly of River State. So without going into the details of whether those who made that law were even authorized to make the law, we don't want to go into that.
No. We have to consider
the law itself.
We have to consider all of those issues.
It's an illegal law which the court has thrown away.
No. Because if you look at the Federal High Court judgments, by Justice Omotosho, recognizing Martins and Amewole as the speaker, and there is another state high court judgment that's at variance with these. So which one would you say takes precedence? Because the Federal High Court or the state?
There is Federal High Court, there is State High Court. Those are courts of coordinate jurisdiction. And that is why I say...
Regardless of whether it is federal or state?
Of course, regardless of whether it is federal or state, they are courts of coordinate jurisdiction. They are equal in competence, equal in jurisdiction, equal in capacity. It's only... And that is why matters that move from Federal High Court or State High Court now go to Court of Appeal. And that's why I said on this platform some other time that this matter of River State will be decided at the Supreme Court, because even at the Court of Appeal, the one who loses will not agree until there's a Supreme Court pronouncement. But it pains me that the will of justice grinds very slowly in Nigeria, because this is a matter of urgent national interest. And if it is possible to urge the learned justices of the court to kindly expedite action on this matter so that there will be peace in Rivers State. But meanwhile, the court has said status quo ante must be maintained. And if anybody now begins to say, oh, we can elongate the tenure, I tell you that that is an illegality. The second leg of the illegality is one being committed by Fubara himself.
That's right.
Where the Supreme Court, again, Supreme Court of Nigeria and the Court of Appeal, in many other cases, said you cannot put caretaker committee when you are supposed to conduct an election in the state. But when you now put the whole thing on the balance, you now begin to look at which illegality is more grievous than the other. Because what is the caretaker committee? Hold this in the interim, pending when we conduct an election. Now they are now asking the governor, why didn't you conduct the election all this while? As if they did not know that the governor has been fighting a battle of survival. Why they don't know that the governor has been fighting a battle of survival. So now that he has more or less settled down, it is from now that you begin to say, oh, governor, you should conduct an election. So if you want to be honest, you will agree that the only option in Rivers State is to let caretaker committee run the affairs of the local government, but there must be a timetable, a timeline for election to be conducted, even though we know that local government elections in Nigeria are mere charades. Mere charades. I said this with all sense of responsibility, that there is no governor in Nigeria that has conducted a credible local government election, and all these things are the things that stifle the existence and the successes of the third tier of government in Nigeria, the government that is supposed to be the closest to the people and deliver dividends of democracy to the people, has been stifled. All efforts made to untangle such a stranglehold have not succeeded up to today. But at least let the optics look right. Let there be an election, even though it may be shambolic, but at least let there be an election. That is what Mr. Okocha is saying. Yeah. But unfortunately, the same Mr. Okocha, whose party caused the crisis in Rivers State, is now asking for a state of emergency. I think it is very unfortunate. Yeah, but then the APC would definitely disagree with you. You're saying that they are the one fomenting trouble there. Because if you look at it, you wouldn't say that it's the APC that destroyed the bust of Nyesom Wike in Iziobiapo local government area, the one erected in front of one of the local governments. The last time I saw this was during the protests and of the removal of colonialists in Germany, Berlin, the Confederate statues, against racism and all of that. Has anybody been arrested?
Black Lives Matter. But then, so this similar incident play out in Rivers State. What exactly did that mean to you?
The government has a responsibility through the police to arrest those who foment trouble. Who foment troubles. I mean, it's a very simple thing. If you say the boss of Nyesom Wike was destroyed, how does that hurt the state? Agree that it is
no. It is actually irresponsible.
Agree that it is a felony. Yes,
of this crisis.
But it is duty of the police to arrest whoever that caused it. It is not the whole Rivers people that destroyed the statute. It's not the whole Rivers people. But why I say that APC is the one fomenting trouble, for any party to begin to draw an expression and say we are at war. Where is the war? These are politicians, even doing what they should not be. They should not do.
So you
and now they are now calling it war.
The destruction of the River State House of Assembly complex, the killing of two persons,
the killing of the two persons,
the takeover of the assembly itself. The actions and actions of all of the parties involved.
Crimes.
Seems like a war.
These are crimes, not war. These are crimes, essentially anchored on politics. These are crimes. And we expect and we call on security agencies to fish out the criminals that cause all these problems and punish them. Most of them are hiding behind big political gladiators. And these are the big political gladiators that are hiding them from being fished out. Right. So we must remove the veil and grab those who are causing the problem, punish them adequately so that others will enter their houses and stop fomenting trouble for the state. And most importantly, the governor that was elected by the people should be allowed to lead the people. Should. Everybody has said so.
So you feel that he's been hindered from...
Everybody should be allowed. He has said so himself.
Let's take it
being
to...
hindered by his political godfather and his hangers on.
Let's take it to Lester Wilcox. Lester, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, fantastic. So the court's order asking that status quo remain seems to have also been flouted by Governor Siminalyi Fubara. Remember that he actually afterwards presented budget to 4 members of the State Assembly, appointed commissioners, and he has sworn in 23 caretaker chairmen. Why have there been that flagrant disobedience rather to court orders? He said, Mr. Fred said, that's a lesser. Let me just put it, lesser disobedience or lesser offense, compared to what you're seeing the other party in this warring situation has done. So should there be any lesser offense, or offense should be treated as offense and then be meted out as so?
Yes, let me clearly take us through some memory parts, and let me thank Fred for his fears. He's a lawyer. I'm an accountant, well qualified accountant. Unfortunately, the lawyers has not helped us well in this country. And even the judges, in the way they couch their judgment, sometimes it creates more problem than it is supposed to solve. I remember in the days of Obasanjo versus Tinubu, when the Supreme Court used the word incoherent, incoherent or something, and Obasanjo lashed on that word and still deny Lagos of their what they call it, of their allocation, because of that word. So sometimes the judges will help us by not using such ambiguous words that now becomes subject to interpretation. My brother, there has not been any, I have not seen or clearly seen any breach on the side of the governor, with due respect, because there was a court order, a valid court order restraining, first recognizing, that was in December, recognizing Edison here as the speaker when there was a defection. There was a court order in River State. There was also a court order in Abuja that was recognizing Martin Samehule. Now, those ones are subject to some of appeal. Now, there is a new court order from Okojombo. In fact, that one was so encompassing that it forbids the governor, forbids the chief judge, and so other people from receiving or entering into any form of discussion or communication with Martin Samehule and his group. And the court clearly stated that Martin Samehule and his group are not members of the River State Assembly. That is the case that is before the appeal court. That case, that's right, which they wanted them to vacate that injunction. And the court, in its preliminary ruling, refused to grant those prayers of stopping Okojombo from performing as speaker, stopping, it's a whole lot of things. I'm sure Fred will have it. So there was no disobedience to court order on the part of the government, of the governor, because the court said status quo remains. And what is the status quo? They refused to vacate. The court refused to vacate the order of the River State High Court in stopping Martin Samehule and co. from becoming legislators. Now until the case is disposed of. So, and then the tenure of this local government, this has elapsed. There cannot be a vacuum, just like every other state does. We have about 20 states today, according to records, that is operating on this caretaker means hold in brief. Hold in brief. And also don't forget, there's also the time we always have acting governors hold in brief till we able to sort it out. And when people are saying, like Fred said, when people are saying that why didn't Siminalyi conduct the election, the same problem that this was created, that will have conducted the election in a very chaotic manner. And then at the end of the day, yes, we know that even if you conduct today, PDP will win all the seats. But how could you have conducted the election in a chaotic manner when the man has been on battle? And the man said, I've always been my own man just for 4 months. So we must give this guy a bit of slack. And look, we are all Rivers people. I am so disturbed as a proud son of Rivers State, although, like I said, I've been loaned to Lagos in a long while, but I still have my root and everything in Rivers State. And I still feel strong about Rivers State. We don't need to go through this part because Rivers State has produced some of the best brains in this country. We've had some of the best, let's say, some of the best legacies. Where did State University start, if not from Rivers State? Where did FM station start, if not from Rivers State? Where did state agricultural programs start, if not from Rivers State? So many things. We have some of the best lawyers, some of the best judges, some of the best things we have in this country come from Rivers State. So we can't allow the state to be dragged into the mud as it is being, as it's happening today. There has not been, and then like I said, the judges should help us in making their pronouncements, not to be too Latin in nature, because I mean, Latin is the next, I mean, Fred, I'm sure Fred can correct me. There is too much Latin. And some of us, we don't know Latin, we only know English and Yoruba and a Jaw language. So they should help us by being as clear. And like Fred said, these cases should be decided expeditiously so that the people of Rivers State can get their life back and they can continue their peaceful nature and continue to develop their states.
Let me come back to the studio with Fred, because we exactly do not know. We know that there's this also the issue of the lawmakers defecting to the APC. Yes. The APC said that they don't have their names on the register because they have to go through the ward and all of that. We don't exactly know which party these lawmakers belong, because this is also part of the issues. Because they're saying that you've already defected, and they're saying they're still member of the PDP. And then the court order that says that status quo, should remain. So exactly how are you reading this? To start with, where do they belong?
The issue of defection is a matter for Federal High Court. It is not a matter for State High Court, because INEC is involved. INEC is a party to that. And once such a federal agency is involved, you go to Federal High Court. The matter is standing before Federal High Court, and there is an affidavit sworn to by Martin Amewule for himself and behalf of 25 or 26 others, saying that they have defected from PDP and they are now members of APC. Forget the razzmatazz and the media outing. We are looking at the core legal issues, because an affidavit is a very strong document, because you take it, it's like taking oath. It's an oath. An affidavit is an oath. So they have taken an oath that they are no longer members of PDP. So, and the last court judgment by the State High Court, the State High Court judge declined jurisdiction and said status quo ante should remain. What is status quo ante? You have said you are no longer members of PDP. Now they have lost out, in a manner of speaking, from what they intended to achieve, and they want to run back to PDP. And unfortunately, the national headquarters of PDP seem to be lending some hidden support against itself. I say this advisedly because an honorable member, Ikengu Gochinyere, and his group has said that the acting national chairman of PDP is working against the party. I don't have all the details, so I don't want to go into that. But for a lawyer representing a political party not to be able to present even elementary evidential information that the court will need to judge a matter, that tells you that the witch that cried in the night must have led to the death of the baby in the morning. But most importantly, I want to tell Lester, my brother, that the problem is not for the judges. Yes, lawyers, they say, oh, lawyers are the problem. Judges are the problem. No. If accountants don't help them to steal money, money will not be stolen. And if money is not stolen, the issues will be made less for the judges to judge. When I begin to look at the issues of law, but now we're looking at issues of law, issues of corruption, issues of stealing of money, and all other issues that has to do with the cookie jar of the state. What is the problem? The problem is the money of Rivers State. Nothing more, nothing less. Oh, yeah, dismantled my structure. What is the structure that is being dismantled? Immediately, Fubara came into power, IGR of Rivers moved from 12 billion to 20-something billion. And now people are now saying, oh, there's a difference of about 15 billion. So where has it been going to since? Those are the core issues. Well, and then they now drove it, and they now dive to issues of local government, issues of political party, and the rest of them. Let the accountants help us by making sure that the money is not taken away. Anyway, so that the judges in the courtroom, the incumbent governor and the former governor, the judges in the courtroom will have less work to do. They work together in the last administration, so it's not easy. It may not be. It may be out of place to completely exonerate the incumbent governor from the. And that is why we said the last administration. But then we must deploy glasnost and perestroika, openness and clarity in everything we are doing, so that we'll see, remove the veil, and know what is telling us the truth. And that's right. We'll pick it up from where we are leaving off now. Do stay with us here on This Morning. We'll be right back. We'll take a break.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world,
breaking down intricate economic and financial matters.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrencies.
We unveil and analyze complex policies of the CBN and other government parastatals as they affect your everyday life, keeping you a step ahead every time.
Okay, this is good. Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate facts from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life, helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Thanks for staying with us here on This Morning on TVC News. We've been talking about the crisis in Rivers State, especially with the APC demanding state of emergency, as well as Governor Siminalyi Fubara swearing in 23 caretaker chairmen for all the 23 local government areas of the state. So many issues that we've been discussing. I have been talking to lawyer, public affairs analyst, Fred Nziako in the studio with me, as well as via Zoom, public affairs analyst, Alester Wilcox. Alester, let me take it up with you, for this second half. And it's also worthy of note to mention that the phone lines are open. They're open for our guests, for our viewers who would like to contribute their own thoughts to this conversation we are having in the studio. Okay, so I'm directed to take the caller who is on now. Daniel from Port Harcourt. Daniel, what would you like to say?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you. Please carry on.
Yes, good to hear the analysis going on. And then for me, as a Port Harcourt boy, I think these are some of the crises that we have. Crisis of one-sided. When we take issues, we look at it just one-sided. First of all, let me correct an impression here that the lawyer in the studio said. It is not true that any state has not conducted local government correctly. Acts of Kaduna State. Kaduna conducted local government elections back-to-back using beaver. In fact, PDP won almost about 4 or 5 local governments. So now, back to Rivers State. First of all, it is the PDP against the PDP in Rivers State. And unfortunately, the APC, somebody, like we say that the hand of Esau and then the voice of Jacob and all, somebody somewhere is using the APC against the PDP in Rivers State. And I have said this clearly anywhere I go to. I can be governor tomorrow. Anybody can be governor tomorrow. The man who occupies the seat as governor of Rivers State should be allowed to carry out the duty of a governor in Rivers State. How that a local government chairman would insult publicly a governor, a sitting governor, a commissioner in the cabinet of a sitting governor will refuse to take orders from that governor? And so for me, that is number one. The governor should be allowed to carry out his duties. Now, you see all of this that is happening is power play.
All right. Well, your point is actually made. Quite interesting point there. But Alester, I was going to ask you, and I think I should ask you, based on our last caller's position. He said that the governor is being hindered from carrying out, his duty, the reason why he's been elected into office as the governor. Do you feel anyone is, holding him back from delivering the dividends of democracy to the people? Because it is one way to also say that I'm the governor, and another way to find excuses from delivering delivering dividends of democracy to the people. We've seen him inaugurated some projects, flagged off some projects. Do you think anyone is holding him back from, carrying on his duties?
Well, until 4 months ago, even the governor confirmed in all his public outing, and even on the day he celebrated Democracy Day, and on May 29, he said he's only been in charge for the last 4 months. Well, the emergence of SIM has given rise to this situation. I envisaged it, but I never envisaged it to be this early. Because I know that in all the states, apart from Lagos, where godfatherism wants to play its role, it failed. People just thought Asiwaju Bola Tinubu became a godfather just by being a godfather. They don't know the underlying factors. And so they didn't learn well. So go to Abia, when the Ojis wanted to be godfather, it failed. Go to Edo, Oshimolean, it failed. So everywhere they tried to be godfather, it failed because they don't know the system. Now, so when Sim came to power, remember, even his chief of staff, somebody's chief of staff is the last man he sees before he goes to bed, and the first he sees when he wakes up, apart from his wife, was imposed on him. Commissioners were imposed on him. So that means his hands were tied. Because I saw commissioners making announcements, signing contracts, commissioner for works, and all the juicy positions. So he had that issue. So there was nothing happening in River State till this crisis started. And of course, when the crisis started, you saw that Sim began to show that he has the capacity to rule. And let me also say that dividend of democracy does not mean building of roads and bridges. If it is that case, then we should commend the military, because I think that maybe apart from Amechi's government in River State, the military government of Oya Kilome, of other people, did far more than we are seeing in River State, maybe apart from Amechi's tenure. What we saw during weekend was building of bridges and flyovers. That's all we see. But now Sim is trying to also build roads, Trans-Calabar Highway, so many roads that have been flagged up. But see, for me, that is not just the of the but he has done well with the civil service. For 8 years, for 8 years plus, the civil service of River State was in comatose. People were not promoted, employments were not done to fill vacant positions, people were demotivated. I have brothers and family members who retired from the civil service, and gratuities were not paid, pensions were not paid. For 8 years, River State civil service, the human capital development of River State was in comatose. The health sector was in comatose. But you see, so that is, for me, that's the dividend. Last December, civil servants were all smiling. Promotions, area promotions has been done. Local governments that were not paying minimum wage, he has imposed on them to pay minimum wage, and they're all having a minimum wage. So
it's quite interesting that we are getting to hear this. It's quite interesting that we're getting to hear this, and we didn't get to hear it during the Wiki administration. But would you like to hold on? Alesta, would you like to hold on? We have a caller, George, who is calling in from Ikeja. George, the ball is in your court.
Good morning, Ibrahim, and good morning to the guests, especially Wicott. Wicott is a prominent son of River State. I'm surprised that since the crisis started, this is my first time of hearing him speak on the matter. Now, to the subject, I don't agree that APC is the one that instigated the trouble in Port Harcourt. We were all here when Wiki and the governor had issues, had disagreements. The Ijaw leaders, championed by Pa Edwin Clark, came to the open. The first statement that old man made was he sent a warning to Mr. President that he should warn Mr. Wiki. Is that how an elder should intervene? Instead of calling the current to the table and settle the matter. So the Ijaw leaders were the ones who were instigating the matter before it became worse. But elections, local government elections, is not a big deal. I heard Alex was saying he didn't have the time to conduct it. What does it take to conduct a local government election? It doesn't take more than a month. The governor has been there for over a year. If he knew that they were not going to accept an extension as legislated by the State House of Assembly, why did he assent to the bill? Why didn't he conduct an election beforehand? Because he knew he could not win. Let us, be truthful on this matter. Both parties have, the APC is an opposition party in Rivers State. They are merely capitalizing on the crisis so that they can have their way in the next election.
Mr. George, let me quickly ask you this question. You're saying that the incumbent governor refuses to conduct election, especially before the last administration's tenure elapsed. But then others are saying that the chairmen, the embattled chairmen, were actually holding on to the offices for 6 months because they feel that maybe they are not popular enough. That's the reason why they are getting attached to the 6 months 6 months term that the.
No, it's not the initiative.
So the question I'm asking is that is it that the chairmen that are afraid of running for election, or the incumbent governor is afraid of conducting election for his own people, whoever is popular in this regard? I'm not sure whether you get my question.
In my view, it is the governor that was afraid to conduct elections because he believed that if local government elections were conducted at that point, that as long as those chairmen were still in office, he believes that they are loyal to Mr. Wike. And if he conducts an election at that time, he will not be able to win. But if he knew he had a number of people that are protesting, that we are seeing on video, protesting now, and he has this number of people supporting him, why didn't he conduct the election?
Mr. George, your point is made. We need to quickly take a break now. Do stay with us here on This Morning. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Do stay with us.
Sometimes it's the story that calls. At other times, the people just want to be heard.
School, I need students, but I need teacher.
Can't continue like this.
Their voices re-echoing through time itself.
We haven't done anything. If the tide is high, everybody run for safety.
Their tears leave a sweet, sour taste for all their demands. A familiar call beckoning for change. In our world, no one expects a disaster to happen. But when it does, we'll be there to x-ray all sides, from the east to the west, north and south. Committee Forum will examine the oddities and challenges to economic development, as well as issues yearning for government intervention. Watch fresh episodes of Community Forum on Sundays by 9:30 p.m. only on TVC News.
Good morning, Marina Station and all the passengers.
Efficient, it's comfortable.
This development will go a long way in reducing congestion and emission.
The trains are long-term solution to Lagos traffic challenges.
This is where we take the final, decisions on policies, programs of government. I will have to ensure that, the narration of Lagos as a PLC is taken very, very seriously.
This is a major pedestrian bridge linking Oyingo here to Apapa Road over there.
With this overpass, we are providing what we call a permanent solution.
This place is one of the most dangerous areas at the biosecurity environment.
This can go into the news and every crumbs of your neighborhood.
Our goal is to remain as Africa's
Thanks for staying with us here on This Morning. We've been talking about the Rivers crisis with Fred Nziako, the lawyer, public affairs analyst. He's been in the studio with me having this conversation. And Lester Wilcox is on Zoom, public affairs analyst as well. But let me begin off with Fred in the studio. It looks like Governor Fubara is likely to conduct local government election anytime soon, because we don't know what the judgment or the ruling is going to be, at the end of the day for today. So it looks like all is set for Rivers State Independent Election Commission to release a timetable for local government election in the state. But you've been standing on the fact that there is no credible election in local government area.
And I stand on it. There is none.
So
across the country.
But one of our callers actually, said it was done in Kaduna State.
Kaduna State, everybody knew, was an arrangement. What El-Rufai did was to take his men, put them in other political parties, and allow them to win. That's all. So that there will be semblance of credibility.
But whether he put his men there or not, there was still an election in the eye of the law.
There is no state. The governors themselves know. In fact, those of them that are hearing me will know. They will just laugh and they will just chuckle and then continue with their lives because they know. It is that same hand that they used to hold the local government funds under Joint Accounts Committee, JAC. It is the same, deriving from Section 7 of 1999 Constitution, that the state is in control of the local government affairs. Does local government collect their money from Federation account directly? No. It is the Commissioner of Finance that goes to Abuja, collect both state and local government, and they pay it into an account controlled by the governor.
And speaking of local
every governor in Nigeria, no exception, the 36 of them, including the man in FCT. That's what they do. Let one governor come and disprove me.
So
it is that same way they decide who runs the show. They will just sit down in government house, write a name, and give the chairman of the so-called SEC. Nigerians is complaining about INEC. The state independent electoral commissions are worse than INEC. They are worse. There is none that is credible. And that is why we keep saying that the mode of appointment of the people who run these things is very important. The governor appoints the chairman, appoint members of independent, the state electoral commission. Remove the word independent. They are not independent. The state electoral commission.
Well, that's what you say.
By nomenclature. Remove that name, independent. State electoral commission, appoint the chairman, appoint the members, give them the guideline, give them everything, even give them the names that they will announce. In every state, I do not. I don't have water in my mouth.
Those are your thoughts. Those are your thoughts.
It is not an accusation. It is a fact.
But looking at local
and no governor can disprove it.
Fred, looking at local government dependency, budget reports, a revealing report surfaced, indicating that 32 out of Nigeria's 36 states heavily rely on federal allocations to sustain their operations. So this data highlighted in the State of State 2023 report underscores the persistent fiscal dependency of the majority of Nigerian states and federal transfers.
As at February,
how can we extricate, this?
As at February 2024, 18 states are running with caretaker committees in local government areas. 18. And the cumulative amount of money belonging to local government system that they have collected just this year alone is over 115 billion. Every governor. You see, when you go to FAC, about 49% or thereabout goes to federal government. 51% or thereabout is shared between state and local. About 26% to the local. The state governors collect all of them, A to Z. They now determine, look, there is no chairman of a local government that can generate a project on its own. When you get a project, you go to the commissioner will get approval for you from the governor, and then it will be funded from government office. In some states, even the payroll of local government staff is provided for by the state government in government houses. Go and ask any commissioner for local government. And if we tell ourselves the truth will set us free. This is the situation we are in Nigeria. And that is why all those go to the schedule of the constitution and see the responsibilities of local government and tell me, could local government handle such liability anymore? The new thing now is that even tenement rates collected by local government has been consolidated into land use charge. That is the style of all the governors now. They collect land use charge, and now they decide, okay, this one to this local government. In fact, local government system no longer exists in Nigeria. And the very moment we excreted the hand stranglehold of governors in local government system, the better for us. And that's why when there's a process of amendment of the Constitution, that Section 7 will always suffer because the governors at the governors forum will take a decision and then convince their houses of assembly, and they will now shut it down when they have to make their own state legislative input. Yeah. And that's the challenge we have in Nigeria today.
Alistair, we have just a few minutes to go, less than 5 minutes. Well, Governor Siminalyi Fubara defended his position for instituting or appointing caretaker chairmen for the local governments. And he said that what is happening here now is a defense of democracy. We will not allow the wrong precedent to be created in this country. Rivers State setting that precedent. So what do you think Governor Fubara can do in this regard to show that, okay, every other governor has been accused of withholding or having a stranglehold on local government. I want to be different. I want to do things separately from others. And I want people to see me that I'm all out for democracy. What do you think, or what would you like to see him do as regards this? We don't know how the court ruling would go at the end of the day, but what would you like to see him do to show that he's different from others?
Well, I think he has acted in line with the plethora of cases that Fred mentioned in the studio, with respect to no term elongation. And so I think he's hinging his position on that it has never happened anywhere in the country where local governments, elected local governments, personnel tenure was elongated. So Rivers State will not start it. So I think that is in defense of the Supreme Court position and, of course, of the law and the Constitution. Now, has also fallen into the trap of other governors using, of course, he has fallen into that trap, on which Fred is trying to differentiate a lesser evil, which is a more temporary form of arrangement pending and he said it yesterday that local government election will from that yesterday there will be plans to conduct, and then I don't see him being as different as any other persons in terms of having free hand to local government. I wouldn't see it happen in such a way that we might expect, because right now the Supreme Court judgment has not come with respect to autonomy of funding. Until that autonomy of funding comes from the Supreme Court and it is not ambiguous, the interpretation is not ambiguous, where there are funds come there. But also don't forget, the funds will go to local government. The local government chairman or whoever could be those loyal to SIM. So there will also be the back-end arrangement. So we're having a show in this country where, well, I will pray that we'll enjoin the Governor Siminalyi Fubara to, like you said, try as much as possible to strategize himself, because why is people fighting to hold on to power and to having a successor? Maybe because they see power as one they want to hold on to, and out of power they are useless. Sim has always said something, and which is very instrumental. He said power comes and power goes, and he's been showing some level, a very high level of what I would call a very high level of humility.
That's right.
With respect to power. And even when he speaks with that gentleness and humility. Let it be in him, and so that he sees power as temporary.
We have to go now.
One day, very soon, he will leave, and his legacy will speak for him. But let me commend him on what he's doing to civil service and other aspects of Nigeria. I'm also pleading with him to extend that dividend of democracy to the provision of social amenities like water.
All right, we have to go now. We have to go. We have to go now. Let's start with
for the people. That is why I want
we have to go now. Public Affairs Analyst Alistair Wilcox, thank you so much. I know that you have a lot that you want to say, and you have a lot of messages you want to pass to.
Let him do a long letter to the governor.
You can do an open letter. It's free.
I'll help you to create the letter to him.
Thank you so much, Alistair. Really appreciate Public Affairs Analyst Alistair Wilcox, and also lawyer, Public Affairs Analyst Fred Nziako. Thank you so much for your keenness of insight on the show this morning.
Many thanks.
And thank you, too, for your company, our audience, and all our callers, and those who try to call in and not able to get in. We say thank you. Tomorrow is another day. I'll be here with you again to have this conversation, especially things happening in Nigeria. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Bye for now.